The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the deluge. I'm Cormac, and until a few weeks ago I thought I had it all. A comfortable life in Seattle, a fulfilling job as a software developer, and a wife, Elowen, who I adored. We'd been married for 12 years, a seemingly unbreakable bond built on laughter, shared dreams, and a deep, abiding love. Or so I thought. Elowen worked as a marketing manager for a local firm. She was vibrant, ambitious, and had a smile that could light up a room. I was always so proud of her, of everything she'd accomplished. Looking back, maybe I was too proud, too caught up in my own world to notice the subtle shifts in our relationship. It started with the late nights at the office. "A big campaign," she'd say, her voice tired but determined. I understood. I'd been there myself, burning the midnight oil to meet a deadline. I'd make her dinner, leave it in the fridge with a note, and climb into bed alone, the silence of the house a stark contrast to the warmth I usually felt when she was beside me. Then came the weekends away for conferences. Again, I didn't think much of it. It was part of her job, a necessary evil. I'd miss her, of course, but I'd also enjoy the quiet solitude, catching up on reading or tinkering with my latest coding project. The first real crack in the facade appeared a few months ago. I was working from home one day when Elowen called, her voice unusually flustered. "Cormac, I need you to do me a favor," she said. "Can you pick up my dry cleaning? I'm stuck in a meeting and won't be able to make it before they close." "No problem," I told her. "Anything for my wife." I drove to the dry cleaner, presented her ticket, and waited as the clerk retrieved her clothes. He laid them on the counter, and that's when I saw it. A small, crimson stain on the collar of her favorite blouse. It looked like lipstick. My heart skipped a beat. Elowen rarely wore lipstick, and when she did, it was never that shade of red. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. "Is everything all right, sir?" the clerk asked, his brow furrowed with concern. "Yes, fine," I mumbled, grabbing the clothes and hurrying out of the store. I tried to dismiss it as a simple mistake, a smudge of makeup from a friend, a trick of the light. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it began to grow, slowly but relentlessly. Over the next few weeks, I became hyper-aware of Elowen's behavior. The way she held her phone a little closer, the way she'd abruptly end conversations when I entered the room, the way she'd avoid my gaze when I asked about her day. The late nights and weekend trips continued, and her explanations became increasingly vague and unconvincing. I started losing sleep, my mind racing with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. Was I being paranoid? Was I imagining things? Or was my wife, the woman I loved more than anything in the world, betraying me? I confided in my best friend, Tiernan, a no-nonsense mechanic with a knack for seeing through BS. He listened patiently as I poured out my fears, his expression grim. "Cormac, I don't want to alarm you," he said when I was finished. "But you need to get to the bottom of this. Trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is." Tiernan's words spurred me into action. I knew I couldn't go on living with this uncertainty, this gnawing suspicion that was slowly poisoning my soul. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I started subtly investigating, checking her phone records, which were password protected, scrutinizing her credit card statements, mostly business expenses, and even, I'm ashamed to admit, following her a few times after work. My efforts yielded nothing concrete, only more questions and more anxiety. Then one Saturday morning, Elowen told me she was going to a yoga retreat with some of her colleagues. "It's a wellness thing," she explained, "supposed to be really relaxing and rejuvenating." I forced a smile. "Sounds great, honey, have fun." As she packed her bag, I noticed something odd, a small, elegant perfume bottle that I'd never seen before. "New perfume?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She hesitated for a moment. "Oh, this? Yeah, a friend gave it to me, said it smells like serenity." I nodded, my heart sinking. That perfume definitely wasn't from any of her friends. I knew their tastes, their styles. This was something different, something expensive. After she left, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The yoga retreat, the new perfume, the weeks of suspicious behavior, it all added up to something I didn't want to believe. I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I went through her drawers. I know it was a violation of her privacy, a betrayal of trust, but I was desperate. I needed to know the truth. In the back of her lingerie drawer, hidden beneath a pile of silk scarves, I found it, a small velvet pouch. Inside, nestled among the soft fabric, was a diamond necklace. A beautiful, extravagant necklace that I definitely hadn't bought her. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just a lipstick stain or a vague excuse. This was something significant, something undeniable. I grabbed my phone and called Tiernan. "I need you to do something for me," I said, my voice trembling. "I need you to find out who bought this necklace." Tiernan didn't ask any questions. He simply said, "I'm on it." 2 days later, he called me with the answer. The necklace had been purchased at a high-end jewelry store downtown by a man named Garrick. Garrick, as it turned out, was Elowen's boss. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. My wife, the woman I loved, was having an affair with her boss. The rage that surged through me was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out at someone, anyone. But beneath the anger there was a deeper, more profound emotion, a crushing sense of betrayal. I waited for Elowen to come home from her yoga retreat. When she walked through the door, her face radiant and relaxed, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked like a different person, a stranger. "How was it?" I asked, my voice flat. "Amazing," she said, beaming. "So peaceful, so restorative. I feel like a new woman." "Do you?" I said, my eyes narrowing. I walked over to the coffee table and picked up the velvet pouch. I opened it and held out the necklace. "Recognize this?" I asked, her face drained of color. "Where did you get that?" she stammered. "It doesn't matter," I said. "What matters is that you've been lying to me. You've been cheating on me with Garrick." She started to cry, her body shaking with sobs. "Cormac, I can explain," she pleaded. "Explain what?" I said, my voice rising. "Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could throw away 12 years of marriage for some cheap fling with your boss." She tried to deny it at first, but I wouldn't let her. I confronted her with the necklace, with the lipstick stain, with the suspicious phone calls and the weekend trips. Finally, she broke down and confessed everything. She said it started innocently enough, with late-night work sessions and shared frustrations. Then one thing led to another and they crossed the line. She said she regretted it, that it was a mistake, that she still loved me, but I didn't believe her. The trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces. I couldn't forgive her, not after this. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I want you out of this house by tomorrow morning." She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance, but I was done. I was finished. The next morning she was gone. The house felt empty, hollow. It was as if a part of me had died along with our marriage. I spent the next few weeks in a daze, going through the motions of life but feeling nothing. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't even bring myself to go to work. I was a shell of my former self. Tiernan was my rock during that time. He checked in on me every day, brought me food, and just listened as I ranted and raved about Elowen and Garrick and the injustice of it all. One evening, as we were sitting in my living room nursing beers, Tiernan said, "You know, Cormac, you can't let them get away with this. You deserve better." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean, Garrick is a married man, right?" Tiernan said. "His wife deserves to know what he's been up to." The thought had crossed my mind, but I dismissed it as being too vengeful, too petty. But as I sat there, listening to Tiernan's words, I realized that he was right. Garrick deserved to face the consequences of his actions. I asked Tiernan to find out Garrick's wife's name and contact information. He did so within a day. Her name was Saoirse, and she was a local artist. I found her website and spent hours looking at her paintings. They were beautiful, evocative, and full of emotion. I couldn't imagine how she would feel when she found out about her husband's affair. I wrote Saoirse a letter, detailing everything that had happened between Elowen and Garrick. I included copies of the credit card statements showing the purchase of the necklace, as well as screenshots of text messages I'd found on Elowen's old phone, which she'd accidentally left behind. I made sure to include all the details, but I was careful to keep my tone neutral and respectful. I mailed the letter and then waited, my anxiety building with each passing day. 2 weeks later, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment before answering it. "Hello," I said. "Cormac," a woman's voice said. "This is Saoirse. I received your letter." My heart pounded in my chest. I just wanted you to know the truth," I stammered. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for telling me. I had no idea. We talked for a long time that day." Saoirse told me about her marriage, about her dreams, about her fears. She was heartbroken, devastated, but also determined to move on with her life. I offered her my support and we became friends. We would meet for coffee, talk on the phone, and share our experiences of betrayal and loss. She helped me to see that I wasn't alone, that there was life after Elowen, that I could find happiness again. As for Elowen and Garrick, their affair didn't last long. Saoirse confronted Garrick and he was forced to resign from his job. Elowen's career also suffered, as word of the affair spread throughout the company. They ended up moving to another state, trying to start over. I don't know what happened to them after that, and frankly, I don't care. I've moved on with my life. I'm still healing, still learning to trust again, but I'm also stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever to find happiness. And sometimes, late at night, when the rain is falling and the wind is howling, I think about Saoirse and the unlikely friendship we forged in the fires of betrayal. And I realize that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always the possibility of finding light in the shadows.